is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun.
No. Y'all, just stop. This is a sham.
Woo! Welcome to DBL. Hey, we're live, guys. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Let's jump right in. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's talk about Whoopi Goldberg. I'm sure you've all heard she's been suspended from The View for 2 weeks. It's because of comments she made on Monday about the Holocaust. And if you haven't seen it, here's what she said.
The Holocaust isn't about race.
No.
It's not about race.
Ethnicity.
It's,
Well,
no,
consider
it's
Jews
about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's
Well,
about
but
going
it's not-
after
it's
Jews
not about
and
race.
gypsies
It's
and
but these are two
Romans.
white groups of people.
So Whoopi tweeted out an apology and went on the Colbert Show Monday night to try and explain and apologize. She also apologized on The View yesterday. The ABC News president called Whoopi's comments wrong and hurtful. She also said he asked Whoopi to take the time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. So that's where the 2-week suspension comes in. Tori, I'm going to go to you. Maybe you want to address before we get into your personal feelings about this. Can it be race? Is this a racial issue? You want to break that down first before we get into this?
And I kind of got to be honest with you. This is confusing for a ton of people out there. So I'm not shocked that Whoopi got this wrong, and I'm glad that we are able to have this teachable moment. Okay, most people think because Jews are white or European, that it's not about race, right? Race is about only skin color. And if you really learn about the Holocaust, the truth is that Hitler found that he thought the Aryan race, which is the blonde hair, the blue eyes, the Germans, was a master race, and that was going to take over the whole world. And they wanted to literally use genocide to eliminate anyone of an inferior race. So even though you don't see it as skin color, Hitler did. And that's the important thing. It was a race war because of that. We were seeing, they measured our heads, they measured our noses, black people, gypsies, homosexuals, Polish, Russians, millions of us were killed and eliminated because we didn't fit the master race. So that was factually incorrect, wrong. However, I also understand a lot of what she's saying, but I did want to make that clear that when we say never forget, we remember in the Holocaust, that's because facts really matter. It wasn't an us versus them. It wasn't political. It was, I think I literally am a better race than you, and you are animals or tattooed with numbers.
Hey, can I just butt in here for a second and say, when we talk about a teachable moment, that's a teachable moment, right? You're explaining what happened with people not really understanding why it's race or not. That's why we call those things a teachable moment. I want to go back to that, but I do want to hear from you guys.
I appreciate that. Yeah, just remember, they tattooed numbers because we weren't human. We weren't of that race. We were numbers, chattel, all of that. We were lower. So that was factually incorrect. So I just wanted to clear that up for people.
Well, I mean, there's another issue at hand, and I was listening to Whoopi speak, and I was like, how could she have subtly changed what she said and make it not as offensive? And like, how would I have broached that subject if that's how I felt? And I feel like Whoopi missed the mark when she says it wasn't about race. It wasn't.
That was it.
That's a declarative statement. That would be no different than me saying, Erica, you've never been fired because you were a black woman. You weren't. Let me tell you why you were fired. I don't know. I'm not a woman. I do not know, and I am not her. So what I could say is, Erica, I can't believe that a company would let you go with your talent and background. So please explain, because I can't see that. That's a different way to kind of say the same thing. And when you start having declarative sentences about what you're going to do and what's wrong, especially about something like the Holocaust, if you're not an expert, like somebody that studied this in college and higher education, I think you should tread lightly. And I think Whoopi learned that.
And Erica, let's get to you. I want to get this next beat in here, though, because there's more to this story. Joy Behar addressed Whoopi's suspension for about 3 seconds at the top of the show, but several tabloids are reporting that Whoopi's co-hosts, including Joy, are furious with the network's decision to suspend her, while others are reporting that some employees are upset that it took the network 2 days. So let's get into the suspension a little bit of this. Do you think it was fair, not just? Where you stand?
Well, I want to just comment on, and I'm completely speculating, but I would imagine that if her co-hosts are upset with this suspension, it's because they may feel like they were robbed of that very teachable moment of understanding, and now everyone else is able, including ourselves, is able to pontificate and speculate as to what should have been said, what shouldn't have been said, how this all should have been played out, when they could have also had the moment that Tory provided at this table. And by suspending her, it's also, there's this thing where it's like, do you want someone to be right all the time, or do you want an opportunity to make it right in the moment? And that is what a teachable moment really is. And I know by Tory, you know, as a Jewish woman, being so open and transparent and also very factually sound, which is not always the case with these situations.
Or with
that
Tory.
is a teachable no, but that is a teachable moment for viewers at home. It's a teachable moment for us because we are Americans who were brought up with the idea of race being very aesthetic.
Exactly.
So that is in direct contrast to how people who weren't, like, how much did any of us, other than Tory, truly learn about the history of the Holocaust? How much critical teaching was actually instilled in any of us coming up in school? So yes, you said it, and I appreciate you saying, like, it's confusing to people.
Yeah.
That being said, especially in a live format and in the moment, you have to be tried even more lightly on subjects like that because it's capable of going in this direction.
Yeah, I think celebrities have a big platform, and that's why it went up to Disney. I mean, it went above ABC. It went to Disney. And the head of Disney was like, this ain't happening. We're doing it. I very much don't agree, and this might upset some of our Jewish audience. I don't agree she should have been suspended. I think it's called The View for a reason. I think we learn, we teach, we understand, and by shutting Whoopi out, you've almost done somewhat of what it feels a little. Do you think they would have fascist in that way? Of like,
do you think they would have suspended? Nah, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
do you think I want you to keep on this train of thought? Do you think they would have suspended Meghan McCain if she had said the exact same thing word for word?
I think when it comes to the Holocaust and Disney, who have very strong connections to Israel, yes, anybody who touches this incorrectly will get called out. But do I think other comments were made that reach a level of intent? I don't think Whoopi meant to hurt anyone. I don't think she maliciously said that. And that should be part of our discernment of when we suspend someone. She apologized. I believed her. She said, I'm learning. Her co-hosts weren't mad. It's as if Jeff and I had a discussion. He said something. I said that's factually wrong, or the other way around. I don't want him suspended. I want to learn from that. Intent and malice there is when someone wants to hurt someone. I think there was zero of that. Whoopi's never shown anti-Semitic views in the past, and I don't think she did today.
I was just going to say, do we have precedents for this? And maybe somebody can look this up. Did Nick Cannon lose his hosting gig at AGT for making anti-Semitic?
Chris Harrison did.
Well, here, I want to get to that point, but I think Nick Cannon walked away.
I think, yes, but I think
there was a lot of issues. Nick Cannon, there was some issues.
There's a lot. Okay. And I wanted to get into that issue because this is ABC, right? And this is the same network that fired Chris Harrison.
Yes.
There was no learning moment. This was a 2-week suspension. So the network had to do something, right? So if you want to just play that, like, be in the business for a minute, the network had to respond.
Yes.
There's no way they could have just let her slide and bring her right back. I think the network handled it good. I don't believe in cancel. I don't think anyone should go, I believe in teachable moments. This was a teachable moment. The network had to show their hand. We're more powerful. We love you, Whoopi, but we got to do something here. They gave her 2 weeks off. But now she's going to come back to the table and talk about it. As opposed to canceling someone when you never hear from them again. You don't learn from that moment. We don't have the conversation and have what you just said, right?
Exactly.
We're talking why that person got canceled, and that conversation that you were talking about is now off the table.
Right.
So I agree with what ABC did. Listen, I can't agree with you more, everything you said, because Whoopi did not mean that maliciously, right? Let me just talk personally for a second, okay? Because I have some things in my past that come up to this day, and it haunts me, and I think about it before I go to bed, and I don't want to get too personal into things, but I've been on television now. 12 years ago was that show, Big Brother. I've been on live TV from the beginning of my career for almost 6 months, 24 hours a day, okay? Think about that. Think about how much you say. All my shows after that were live. When I did the Big Brother after shows, all live, everything live. Things come out. You're trying to push a conversation. Whoopi's trying to push a conversation. You're trying to be entertaining. We did 3.5 hours of live TV a day here. We're going on 5 years. Do you know how many hours and days and weeks and months, almost up to a year, I have on live television? Things are going to slip. And I made it personal because I just want to talk about me. Whoopi's pushing that conversation, right? That's what we have to do up at this table. But then you're judged personally in your personal life for things that you said or mistakes that you made. We need to learn from these moments. That's why it stopped you. We have to learn from these. We can't push the conversations off.
So why should she be suspended even?
Because the network has to do something. This is the same network that fired Chris Harrison and will not have him back. They had to do something. I want to get rid of the firing. I believe in a suspension. I believe in learning something. When she comes back, everyone's going to have that conversation. Whether it's about Jewish, whether it's about black, whether it's about... We have these such taboo topics now, and it's either you're on my side or you're canceled. We need to get away from that. I'm happy with what ABC did. I support Whoopi, and when she comes back, it's going to be a deeper conversation, and I'm glad we're having this one.
And I'll look forward to that conversation. Yeah, absolutely. And I think really quickly as we go to break, don't forget that like if the network does nothing, inaction is still inaction. Right. So now you've set a bar there. So I appreciate what Whoopi said. I don't think there was any malice, but I do think that they did have to do something.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, we'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
All right.
Okay, you guys, I'm wearing Rent the Runway. I don't know if you guys know what that is. You rent it from a place, and the person before, they dry clean it, obviously, but I'm not buying all these clothes. I'm not made of money. Okay. And someone wore this and like smoked a cigarette, and then they Febrezed it, and like, so now I smell like a hotel room in Vegas where they tried to hide the smoke.
That should be your perfume.
Oh, it's so gross.
Hotel Room by Tori.
Rio.
No, you need like the golden nugget.
The golden it's crazy. I mean, I started my comedy career
so
probably 16,
you know
17 years ago. And like starting your career in Florida in 2006, like you go into hotel rooms and there are still like glass ashtrays because there was no like real
What's even better, the aluminum ashtrays.
Dude, like a diner.
Disposable.
Just quick so you know, Nick Cannon was fired.
Oh, was he?
For anti-Semitic.
Chris Harrison was not fired.
What do you mean?
He wasn't fired.
So that's interesting. We were talking about.
He was parachuted out.
What does that mean? He wasn't fired.
He
It
wasn't
just means they
fired
pay your
for
contract
anything
out.
he said. They
Terms with your fiscal.
They call it the Megan
just didn't
McCain.
renew
Yeah, they called
him
him
the next season.
Some people
You get fired
so
with
it's a little
$69 million.
Yeah, they're called fired when they say, I'll leave right and I'll get the money.
That's why it's so important to have people like your dad, lawyers, make a good contract for you, make a good, if something happens to you. Oh,
My dad is now become a real, he used to do just like a lot of big contracts. He's now known as like the guy that makes you, if you're a big employer, that contract, like the what do you call it? What do you call it? The contract that is lead free. How much time we have? You know what I'm talking about. Ironclad.
The lead free? The asbestos free contract.
Ironclad, not lead free. Ironclad. He's known as the Ironclad, and one guy called him and said, if there's a hell, you're the devil. Isn't that my dad's the nicest little Jewish man?
Okay, that was totally the inspiration for Step Brothers, I'm on a Boat.
Absolutely. Suits
I
and
never
everything.
put that together, but that's exactly what that is. All right, welcome back. That was Duran, not Step Brothers, with their big hit Rio from the 80s. The band was just been nominated. Hey everybody, for this year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Other nominees include rapper Eminem, who will be performing at the Super Bowl, Carly Simon, who is known for her hit You're So Vain, hip-hop group A Tribe Called Quest.
Tribe.
Yeah, also made, wow, that got some noise around here, I like that. Also made the short list, country singer Dolly Parton, who was introduced into the Country Music Hall of Fame back in 1999, and American Idol judge Lionel Richie, who is also known from his songs Hello All Night Long and Dancing on the Scene. feeling? Of course.
That is Erica's man.
I love me some Lionel.
Erica, I thought he was already in.
Everybody thought that.
I thought that too, yeah.
We do this every year, and I'm like, how is he not in?
You know,
Right.
like,
How is Dolly Parton not in?
It's kind of morbid, but there's always that thing of like people that people think have passed away, but they're still alive. There's always like those lists. I think they should have that for people that think that they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and they're not. Because I would almost say that all of those people, I would have thought would have been first ballot. Eminem, it's almost as big as you can get. Lionel Richie is almost as big as you can get.
I was like, you started with Eminem and that whole list.
He's huge.
I know he's huge, but it's like, you know, he hasn't reached Dolly Parton, Lionel Richie.
And also
doing the Super Bowl on Sunday.
I understand that, but I think that there's also this line. I'm not disparaging Eminem. Great. I love me some Eminem. But, you know, when you start with a lineup like that and you're like, how can Eminem? And I'm like, Dolly Parton,
Well,
Duran
and also is Eminem rock and roll? Like, to me, and I'm not, you guys all know I'm a hip but not great at music. I thought Eminem was rap hip hop.
Rock and roll isn't rock and roll anymore, especially when it comes to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I mean, Janet Jackson being inducted. Huge major deal. Make sure you watch the documentary. Yeah, you know, like redefining it at the end of her speech, she said, you know, induct more women. I think that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame encompasses all genres now. It's not just the traditional rock and roll.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of assumed, and it's not just because I had my prom there. It's like when I go.
Did you really?
I did. Our
That's
prom from
cool.
Cleveland. Yeah,
Yeah.
our after prom was there.
Did you dance?
I think so. Okay. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Okay. Probably. Okay. Not well. But, you know, I do think that there is a place where, because it said that she was inducted in 1999. What did that?
Into the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
but that has nothing to do with the rock and roll.
They're separate.
So interesting.
Because to me, Dolly was very country and not rock and roll. But what you're saying is the umbrella of rock and roll is open to them all. To me, I thought of more of genres.
Yeah.
So
I think
interesting.
Dolly would just be a little bit country, a
little bit rock and roll.
Oh, I like it.
God,
That's
she's
a perfect
so
button. Coming up on DBL is Velvet. Is that Velvet? Is it coming back? We've got a list of the latest fashion trends for men. Stick around.
Athletes often say representing their country at the Olympics is the highlight of their careers. Millions of Americans are watching and cheering them on from home. One verified viewer texted us to ask, do athletes get paid to go to the Olympics? So let's verify. Our sources are Team USA, USA Swimming, USA Wrestling, and the International Olympic Committee. The IOC oversees the Olympic Games and says there's no salary requirement for athletes. Instead, it's up to each nation's Olympic Committee to decide whether to compensate athletes. Team USA doesn't directly pay its athletes. Instead, some sports governing bodies, like USA Swimming, use registration fees to give top-tier athletes a monthly stipend. USA Wrestling has a Living the Dream medal fund to help athletes get by. Other sports get corporate sponsors and use the proceeds to cover some of an athlete's expenses. But it's false that athletes get paid to go to the Olympics. In fact, some give up regular income to go. A Team USA survey found more than half of elite American athletes earn less than $25,000 a year, with a quarter of them relying on non-sport related income. The good news is if athletes do well at the games, then they'll receive a bonus of up to $37,500 for each medal. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
This February, connect with Al, Tori, Erica, Jeff, and Sam.
Leveled up. I'm here for it.
Spirited talk.
There needs to be consequences.
I promise you, I don't care. Honest emotions.
You are so generous to me.
Always entertaining.
I might be too jacked for TV.
Real conversations are on DBL.
I like that.
Very nice. DBL, all new, every day.
Welcome back. GQ Magazine has listed some of the hot new fashion trends for men this year. This one's for Al Jackson. And a lot of it looks like stuff you'd find in a closet from the 70s.
Ooh, I love it.
All right. They include flared pants, like these checkered ones that you apparently pair with a fuzzy yellow sweater and slippers. Al?
I can't get with that one, but maybe some people, younger people, club people.
All right, we got plenty more for you, buddy. Next, big collars are also making a comeback, but be sure to button them all the way to the top.
I'm here for that.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. Nothing says men's fashion more than a paisley purple silk scarf. Come on, Al. That looks
love
like
it.
you.
Not with that jacket. Jacket's taken away from the scarf.
All right.
Pattern on pattern is very in right now.
Yeah, but I feel like the scarf is the star of the show. You can't have the backup singer standing right with the lead singer.
You need to break out the ascot.
Oh, yeah, I've worn an ascot before. I felt like to little fanfare. Let's change that.
All right, I think we need to bring it back. And to complete that look, you've got to have a velvet jacket.
Yes.
I love a velvet jacket, but I'm not feeling that.
I agree. That looks like a cardigan that's sad.
I was going to say a little more Austin Powery.
Yeah, you need a cool.
Well, that's 70s, I guess.
I like a structured velvet jacket.
Fitted.
Yes.
Ooh,
what about my blue velvet pants? How do you guys feel about those?
Those are nice. Those are really nice.
Very excited about
Yeah,
those.
those are really good. Al.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, how about big chains? They're also all the rage. The bigger, the better.
Really?
I'm really into chains right now.
Would Anthony wear a necklace or jewelry? My dad wears jewelry.
Yeah, he'll wear like his grandfather's chain, stuff like that.
Okay.
But he doesn't really get into the other stuff.
Jeff, have you ever worn a chain? I could see you being a chain guy.
I got mine underneath.
You got a gold chain.
And, you know, speaking of it's going to make me cry. Someone stole my grandfather's chain that he brought from Italy. Yeah. 'Cause I wanted to wear it so bad that I'm like, after my grandpa passed away, I was little, and I brought it to gym class, and someone stole it.
No.
Yeah. And he gave all the grandkids one. So when you said that, I was like,
oh my God.
I still feel terrible to
I'm
this day.
so sorry.
God, I really am so sorry.
Do you know what we should do?
The music stopped.
stopped.
We should get
My mom's at home crying into a tissue.
We should get internet sleuths, the people that solve crimes, to find that out. They would.
Well,
It's a cross
how
little Italian pepper, a gold Italian pepper.
This is how you know. This is how you know. Go back to your yearbook and look whose life ended up the worst, and that's who stole your chain.
Oh, that's good.
I knew it. Donnie Johnson. I just made that name
He
up.
sues you for defamation.
Donnie Johnson's eating spaghetti. He's like, what? All right. And this one is a bit of a wild card.
Balaclavas.
Somebody help me with balaclavas.
I said balaclavas. That's what it's pronounced.
I think it is,
Are not just for bank robberies.
Nope.
Wear them in winter with style.
Yeah,
balaclava.
I think they're also for hunters, are they not? It looks like I thought they were for hunters, like they're outside.
Remember, Kanye, with the full mask, this has moved and trickled into the culture, and now we're having the balaclava mask.
I think they're for hunters.
Do you know what I'm into? 50s style. I like that 50s style, the knit. You know,
you
sweater.
got that James Dean.
Look,
in your
Jeff, I am a huge fan of the 50s and 60s, the styles. It was wool, houndstooth,
Taylor.
thick. It was kind of like, just solid colors. And it's interesting when you watch fashion, like 70s things got out of control, huge lapels, 80s skinny ties, terrible, 90s grunge, terrible. But here we come back to just the old school, just basic fabrics that just look good, clean. I'm with it. I like the 50s and 60s.
Look how excited Al gets.
I love fashion. I love it.
I like that.
Sorry, the music ended. I'm sorry. Did we push down an older person in here? Why is everything so sad? Why is it sad?
I did weird in the stolen chain thing. It was
the chain. It was the chain.
All right, we'll be right back.
It was the chain.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
N95 masks are considered the gold standard to protect people from COVID-19, followed closely by KN95 masks. They were in short supply in the early days of the pandemic, but today you can readily find them online. But there's a catch. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says 60% of KN95 masks it evaluated were fake. So let's verify. Is there a way to determine if a KN95 or N95 mask is counterfeit? Our sources are the CDC, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, or NIOSH, Project N95, a nonprofit clearinghouse that helps organizations get authentic personal protective equipment, Amazon, 3M, and patent safety organization ECRI. NIOSH is the federal agency that tests and approves N95 masks in American workplaces. A mask must meet rigorous standards to earn its approval, which is indicated by a unique number stamped in the front. The agency recommends people check the NIOSH number against its website to ensure the mask is legit. The mask should also have the NIOSH logo, a lot number, brand name, and model number on the front. 3M says if an N95 doesn't have any printing on it, then it's probably not authentic. Fake KN95 masks can be harder to detect, and Equity says counterfeiting may be even more rampant. This is because KN95 masks must meet Chinese government standards, which require less labeling. Project N95 says at minimum, KN95 masks should have a label that reads GB2626, followed by either 2019 or 2006. Admittedly, it can be hard to tell what you're buying online. Amazon, one of the most popular online mask retailers, tells Verify it confirms N95 and KN95 masks are sourced from trusted manufacturers before listing them in its store, adding it implemented a, quote, rigorous seller vetting and product review process to ensure compliance with applicable laws, regulation, and Amazon policies, unquote. So it's true. There is a way to determine if a KN95 or N95 mask is counterfeit. Amazon says it offers refunds if a product isn't as advertised. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
On Monday, the Food and Drug Administration approved the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine for use in individuals 18 and up. Prior to that, it had been authorized for emergency use by the FDA since December 18, 2020. Following FDA approval, Moderna says the vaccine will now be marketed in the U.S. under a new name, Spikevax. On Facebook, Verify viewer Lisa asked when the FDA-approved Spikevax be released. But that implies that Spikevax and Moderna COVID-19 vaccine authorized under the emergency use aren't the same. So Lisa, let's verify. Are Spikevax and the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine the same? We went to these sources for an answer. According to the FDA and Moderna, Spikevax and the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine that was authorized for emergency use are the same thing. They have the same formulation, according to the CDC data. So we can verify that, yes, Spikevax and the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine are the same.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for a healthcare update sponsored by Go Health. Staying active with age not only helps you stay fit, it supports brain health, and this can slow down the aging process. According to a new study, daily physical activities like jogging, walking, and jumping jacks can actually prevent dementia. Staying active as you age supports a special class of proteins in your brain that enhances the connection between neurons. So go get moving if you want to maintain a healthy brain. If you're looking for a health insurance plan, Go Health makes it easy to enroll. Call 800-650-2534. Visit GoHealth.com to find the plan that's right for you.
I bought
those neurons going.
I got some ankle weights. Some on TikTok they're famous, and wrist weights, and they're cute.
On TikTok, ankle weights are famous?
Yeah, they're called Bala or something, and they're cute colors like pastel. And I do a lot of movement.
How many of your imaginary friends like those?
Like 4 or 5.
That's a good question.
I don't even know TikTok, but I heard these are great.
You put ankle weights on your wrist?
No, ankle weights and wrist weights, so that when you walk, little resistance.
Is that how you walk?
A lot of movement. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That was a good show up until now. So if you tuned out early, that was a good one. See you guys.
That was